Hey, good evening, everyone. Paul Daniels here, and what I fix daily. So tonight we're on a late night. It's just clocking past midnight. Perfect time to get started. We've got here a MacBook Air A1466, and this is a 00165 board. And the problem is it's been hit with some liquid damage, and the screen flickers and dies. Doesn't do any good. So I've taken it out, and I can already see visually that there's a couple of spots on here that we're going to have to clean up. So hopefully this will be a janitor type job rather than having to turn on our brains and doing anything difficult. I've had a bit of a week for doing the difficult things, so it'd be nice to have a bit of a break. So let's have a look on this side, see what we can find, then go to the other side, which has the obvious stuff. Hopefully this will, like I said, be mostly just janitorial stuff. That doesn't even look that bad, but we'll clean that off with a bit of isopropylene / water mix. I have a feeling this might be Coca-Cola or something like that. Let's have a look. Get it off there. Yeah, the colouring is a little bit like Coke. Oh, it's a little grey, can't tell. Alright, well, that was trivial. By the looks of it, the connector managed to get away without getting any contact. You can see it's something happened here on the Wi-Fi connector. I don't know what this scratch is. It's interesting, it looks like it was there before the board was even populated. Because it goes right under the parts, carries on up here. It's almost like something was resting on it. Oh, alright, let's flip it over since we can't really see much else there. It turns the board around so Lewis doesn't have a heart attack. Yeah, there's our backlight section. So again, I'm just going to wash this down with the water mix. And when I say water mix, we're only talking about 15%. It's not like it's drowning it. It's predominantly alcohol, but I need the water to be able to lift the goo off. I wonder if the ball on this is okay. I have a feeling it might be these two resistors here. That could be a problem. And I think that's part of the... I don't know. I've forgotten what that is. It's a voltage divider, and the underside of this capacitor here seems like it's been etched out a bit. We'll change our... sometimes if you don't have a little bit of water in the alcohol mix, it makes it very difficult to displace some of the scum that builds up. So if you're trying with pure alcohol and you can't seem to get rid of whatever it is that's afflicting the board, just try a little bit of water in that alcohol mix. And if you look at the contents of a lot of the alcohol wipes, actually we'll just look at this. Wrong tweezers. Where are my favourite tweezers? Hiding again. Yeah, that there looks like that could be a culprit. Not sure yet what that is. This here just looks like a blob of a nuisance, but I don't think it's actually done any real damage. Certainly not anything that matters. Yeah, a bit of cleaning up, and yeah, what looked like corrosion there was actually just remnants of whatever the liquid was. Seems like there's some spluttering up here. Now I'm going to scrub this down with pure alcohol as well once I'm done. But that there I think may be our real issue, and these two resistors here. So let's have a look at that feedback ball. Yeah, okay, that's going to have to come off. Oh, shame. I was hoping to not have to do that. It'd be pretty foolish to leave that be. Alright, well, let's get it out of the way. Can't really procrastinate on it. So stick a bit up there too. And you we will deal with in a bit. Okay. I'll be able to use one of the new drivers that Lewis sent me in his package. I was a little bit worried that the ones he sent were actually the wrong type because, you know, it is coming from the northern hemisphere and I'm down here in the southern hemisphere, but I found if I turn my board around so it's upside down, then it works for his northern hemisphere drivers. I can smell the sugar burning off somewhere. Wow, this driver's really stuck down. I can just wiggle it, come on. There we go. Kind of had to cook that a little bit more than I liked, but I think that was because all the sugar. Look at that. See? It rots your balls. So you've been warned. You don't want the sugar rotting your balls. Alright, use some more of the water mix. Because we try direct alcohol, it's not going to do a damn thing. You can see the water mix is taking it off pretty quick. There's another video I have earlier on when I was working on a Samsung with a charge port issue, and it had something like Coke or something like that spilled on it, and I fought with that a bit too much with cleaning it. That was because I hadn't used the water mix. As soon as I put the water mix onto it, all the junk came off real quick. Okay, this is pure alcohol mix now. Well, I shouldn't say mix because there's nothing but alcohol in it. Let's go in close and have a look at those pads. Just a bit of junk on them. Oh, there we go, so there's trouble. Let's actually etch through that one. And what about our feedback ball? Feedback started to get eaten on the pad, but this one here is a bit of a problem, but I'm fairly sure those two are connected. Let's have a look at the board view. Yeah, let's have a look at the board view. So what do we got down here? And we're lucky, yes, they are connected, so that's good. Would have been a whole lot of drama if we had to route a wire into there, but we don't have to this time. We'll just sort of clean that up a little bit, make sure there is some sort of connection there, because we don't want the full load being taken just by one ball. Come on, hacker. Beep. Thank you. Oh, but it sucks the heat out of this. Yeah, I'm gonna have to be careful there. I can feel it's starting to degenerate. Just want to keep those pads alive. Don't scratch them up too much. And we wanted to check this capacitor up here as well. Let's see if that comes to life with a bit of... Wow, so much scum. Not enough flux. Pretty sure that's just a test pad, doesn't go anywhere, but we'll try and bring it back anyway. Looks like it's half alive. I guess that'll do. I think I'll just replace those two resistors. I think I'll stuff around with them. Well, it's a good thing the person brought it in when they did. Well, I might have to lay a wire here. I get a feeling this is actually not connecting. We got the multimeter. Alright, we've got the multimeter ready. So we'll see if this has any continuity or not. Well, there is continuity there. The question is, do we trust it? And right now, that's kind of a bit of a sketchy thing. Let's bring out the X-Acto knife. Let's see if we can get some truth out of this. So whether we really can trust it, or whether we need to fix it up. Yeah, I really feel like I need to scratch that out a lot more. Just had to turn the board around because I couldn't really see get the angle I wanted. Let's try a bit more flux and solder. I mean, realistically, it's probably going to be okay. But, geez, I nearly broke my tip then. The brass cleaning ball is starting to flatten out. So when I... Geez, Paul, you really got to be careful here. Sorry, what I was saying was, now that the brass ball is flattened out a bit, whenever I put the soldering iron into the system, it sort of bottoms out a little bit quick and hits the backside of it. And when I do that too aggressively, it breaks the tip if I'm not careful. So I just need to order a new one, amongst everything else. Well, I think for those watching, the consensus is going to be I need to run a wire. If I don't run a wire, I'm probably going to end up with half a dozen comments saying, you should have run a wire. And then I'll spend half my day raging at people over trying to be helpful in their own special way. You'll lose that pad pull. Let's get some wire. Let's see. For this, trying to think. Let's have a look at our normal stuff and see if that's too heavy a gauge. Zoom out a bit. If I run a single strand, it should be okay. It's a little thick. I probably should be using the stuff that I would normally, say, use for, what am I thinking? Touch disease repair. Okay, let's rotate this around so it's easier for me. And that went completely wrong. Still wrong. Very wrong. Yeah, I think that wire's just going to be too thick, I'm sorry. Let's get the touch disease wire. I have no idea where that touch disease wire has gone now. Oh, here we go. It's a lot more realistic. I was being an idiot before, not using the proper stuff first time around. That just looks terrible. Terrible. Hideous. And everything needs to be cleaned up again, and the solder removed. Yeah. Don't stay up late doing work, everybody. Unless you do it normally. I've gotten out of the habit. You know, a year ago I was always up at this hour doing work, but lately, with all the kittens and just everything, I've been finding by around about 1:30 in the morning, it's the end of the day for me for sure. Closer to midnight, actually. All this because I'm trying to be pedantic. Because I want the job to actually last. That feedback ball is... the fact that it's just half there, that gives me the heebie-jeebies a little bit. But I sure as heck don't want to mess with it. I'm pretty sure it's gone, but I'm gonna mess with it, just like I said I wouldn't. Yeah, it's cavitated out. There's a bit of copper at the bottom there, but it's cavitated for the most part. Corroded away. I really want to take the point off that ball that we put the wire on, but I know if I do that, what's going to happen is it'll mess up everything and I'll just have to redo it. So I'm just going to have to wait until the reflow happens with the chip, and hopefully that will fix everything up. That's the great theory. I don't know if that's coke or flux. I suspect it's flux. This will go in the ultrasonic cleaner at the end. Alright, well, I guess at this stage we'll put down a new driver. And the hacker says yes. I sure hope that is just a test point. Actually, no, where do you go? You must be a Veer. The reason why I say that is because it's got to come from somewhere to go somewhere, unless... No, it's got to be a valid place, so... we need to protect that. I might put those down first. Or should I? Choices. Let's try the driver first. Let's see. We've got fresh Northern Hemisphere drivers. Yes, we do. I do have my own local copies, but it's nice to put one of these genuine Rossmann ones onto the board. If I can get it out. It seems a bit reluctant. As reluctant as Lewis is to update my software. There it is. I don't blame him for being reluctant to update the software, because honestly, half the time, after I finally convinced him, usually about 4 or 5 minutes after he's done it, I realise I've got a bug in there, and I need him to do it again. So yeah, you can't blame the poor guy for being a bit hesitant. This is going to be fun because that high point is going to keep jumping it up, so I'm going to have to hold it for a little bit. This is one of my weaker areas of expertise. Looks like we got lucky. A little longer than I wanted. Your balls aren't even going to be... Where are they? Oh no, they're fine. Alright, let's get those other two parts back on. I need a 165. I got 34, 37. Come on. I know I've got a 165 around here somewhere. Here we go. Yeah, hopefully I've got the parts. Yes, I do. Right, someone forgot to put the flux down. So if you don't seem to have any solder on those other two pads, better just put a little tiny drop on each. Yep. I think we need to clean up that pad still. Better. I mean, it would have connected, but it wouldn't have been a very ideal connection. And the other thing is, you wouldn't know exactly what that corrosion's going to do over time. The residual sort of grey alloy that's left behind there. I'm not sure how it behaves long term afterwards. I probably should have a smaller nozzle on this, but oh well. That test pad balled up nicely. Trying to decide whether I should replace that or not. Let's put the multimeter on it, see what it thinks. Seems pretty good. Alright, so that's done. I suppose I better check to see how that trace went with the wire in it. If I can even find my work. Where's my work? Oh, there it is. I was expecting something bigger. Can't really see. I can only hope. What we can do is we can test the balls either side and see if there's any contact being made. Ah, so much junk on my tips. Nothing, that's good. Nothing, that's good. Okay, that looks good. Alright, just had to check that the tips actually were making noises if something was there. Now, the next part that we would deal with is this fellow here, and that looks pretty nasty, so we're definitely going to just take that right off. Let's have a look what that actually is for. There we go, U3710. OB solid state drive isolation, alright. Yeah, we probably want to be making sure that's working alright. Not quite sure what OOB stands for. This is going to be one of those pain in the butt 6-pad weirdo things. You can go in the trash. Cannot possibly see any way that you would be valid after that. Just going to lift you up. I'm glad we pulled that up. That's not looking very pretty. And in this case, the pads, that top right one is ground. Top left is connection. And the bottom left is PP3D3. Alright, so get that cleaned up and get a replacement put on there. And some focus maybe. Another earbud. Get this cleaned up. Oh, so many hairs everywhere. I have a feeling that this one is probably missing on that other board because I'm fairly sure the other day I had to do a similar replacement. I was just checking to see if that was surface. Just gonna go over a bit of water and alcohol. Yep, that's okay. Let's see if we've got one here. Oh, we do. Good. Must have been from the 3437 that I took it. Or at least that's what I'm going to tell myself. I've been doing a fair bit of work on Flexboard View lately. I've had a lot of new bits and pieces. Well, I shouldn't say a lot of new bits and pieces, but a few new bits and pieces. The part find feature is one that I'm pretty happy with. I've used it myself already a few times. Like tonight earlier I had a 3536 or a 3635 board, and it blew a ceramic capacitor on it, and it's a 100 volt 2.2 microfarad 1210 size. And I was like, yeah, I don't see them around too often, so I used the part board search and was lucky I could find them on some earlier boards. Alright. I don't want to lose my orientation on that one. Now I've fixed up a few other little niggly things. There's always more new niggly little things that come up, and you just got to work at them bit by bit. I'm trying to get a proper stable release out, something that people can contently sit with for 6 months. You know, something you can sort of go, look, you know, I don't need the latest features, I just want something that I can work with as a daily device. Admittingly, I am again thinking of what Lewis would want. I do ask myself quite a bit, what would Lewis want? Because I find him as a pretty good guide as to what to expect other technicians to be looking for. I just want this to refloat after I squeeze the balls out. Okay, that's good. I think we're pretty good now. Got our driver. We've got scum and hair everywhere. Plenty of flux. Which reminds me, I forgot to turn on the ultrasonic. That'll teach me. Yeah, because we're really fortunate. Nothing actually got into the connector. Although flux has gotten into that connector a little bit, I think, or is that just the heat? I'll flush it out anyway. I really don't want flux building up in there. Even though it is going into the ultrasonic, it'd be nice if it wasn't in there in the first place. Wow, something's really wrong with that truck. It is a very icky, messy board. I actually might just scrub it down a little bit before putting it back into the chassis. Just put the fume hood back on. One really nice thing about having this fume hood is if I've got residual alcohol, I can just put it in there and it'll suck it right on up. And it comes out fairly dry, fairly quick. There's my chassis. don't get flux on the back of it, Paul. Bad putting this less than perfectly clean board back into here. Feels like I'm violating it a little bit. Oop, get that lined up. Get our speaker in so we can hear the bong if we get one. Keyboard, I don't need you. One fan. There you go. There you go. Good fan. We'll stick the keyboard backlight in as well. Sorry folks, starting to lose my voice at this hour of the night. So hopefully we don't get a kabang. Green light immediately. Fan spin. Probably won't get a bong because I don't think this one bongs unless you got to... saw the screen do something then. Come on, give me a flashing logo. Hey, there we go. We're up and running. So that's it. Just a bit of janitor work and we're all good. Thanks for watching.